Hey everyone, James and Mitchell here again. Going to be talking about another tarot card, and we're going to be sticking with the deck that we've been using in previous videos, which is the original Rider-Waite tarot pack. The reason why I use this deck is because it was created in 1910 and it has stood the test of time. Most tarot reference material you will find out in the marketplace is usually illustrated with this particular deck. So I always encourage people who are starting out with tarot to use this deck because there's just so much material that's used with it and based on it. Also, too, more contemporary decks in this day and age are usually some variation. In the tarot world, we call it Rider-Waite clones or Rider-Waite variants. So, but they all are just kind of like a reworking, if you will, of this particular deck. So I always encourage people to start out with this deck, or at least, if they're a tarot collector like I am, at least to have that one or one of them in their collection. So now, having said that, you know how I work. I usually ask the question, what does tarot wish for me to talk about today? Or, what card would it like for me to explain in depth? So I shuffled the cards, cut them, fanned them out, and I drew one. And today's card is the Seven of Cups. And this is what the card looks like. Now, cups, as I've talked about in the past, usually represent our feelings, emotions, relationships, things of that nature. I actually really like this card. This card is somewhat of the same theme, but it's a little more on the spiritual side of this. Whenever the Seven of Cups comes up, I usually encourage people to be looking at their spiritual side or their spiritual nature. The 7 is a number that represents spiritual enlightenment or spiritual development. It's an insight number. It's about perception, self-awareness. As a psychology major, it's a great psychological number. It also represents a person who's got a bent or needs to find time to be by themselves. It's a solitary number. And it's very interesting that I would pull a 7 card on today because, I don't know, for those people who are proficient in numerology or use numerology in their practice, I happen to be one of them, I'm vibrating on a personal day as a 7. And so aspects of this day for me are representative of things like spirituality, solitude, withdrawal, just to really, really get in touch with who I am from a spiritual perspective. So back to the card. So this particular card, if you notice the image, because I'm one for when I work with tarot, I always go with what does the picture say or what does the picture communicate? You know that old expression that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and so since my background is in dreams, and dreams are a very visual medium, I kind of have a similar approach with tarot. So if you look at the picture, you see that the person in the foreground is facing 7 cups, and each cup has something different coming up from it, and the whole image is surrounded with clouds or mist or smoke, whatever you perceive it to be. I tend to look at it as like more clouds or like more of a mist kind of thing. Usually with this card, the person is facing a number of choices or options. And so I always encourage people when this card kind of just shows up or drifts into a reading that I encourage them to ask the question, what is it that they need to choose from an emotional standpoint or a spiritual standpoint at this point in their life? And since there's so many cups on the card, it's also encouraging the person to pick one and focus on that. So, for instance, we'll touch on some of the cups. On some of the cups, there is once like a castle is coming up from the cup. So if a person focuses on that, it would be things like home life, stability, security, anything having to do with more domestic matters. Then on one, there is a wreath, which usually represents the person is focusing on achieving something. Some sort of triumph, victory, success, a celebration, some sort of crowning achievement, because a laurel wreath is usually placed on the head, and so symbolically for me that represents one's crowning achievement. But usually it's more success matters that the person is needing to focus on if they're drawn to that particular cup. There's one that has jewels on it, so usually that's more about resources, finances, a sense of wealth, prosperity, abundance. So, there may be a focus towards that. There's one that has a woman's head or face emanating from it. So that could be about the nature of relationships in and of themselves. There's one that has a figure that has a white veil or cloak over it. So you can't really see. The only thing you can really see are the person's hands. So that could just be representative of the spiritual unknown, or that there's some element of that hasn't been quite revealed yet to the person, but it could be just a matter of time. And then there are two other cups that one has a snake and one has a dragon on it. So the dragon can usually represent some sort of spiritual element or spiritual qualification. Going with the castle, it could be like a fairy tale theme or something of the past or a past life, if you happen to believe in those types of things. But since dragons fly in the air, it usually represents on some level for me either an intellectual or a spiritual goal. The snake is interesting because tradition normally places this particular meaning with the card, one of deception and disillusionment. So sometimes, with the snake, we can look at that as, the snake's having a forked tongue. If you come from a Christian background, Christian scripture usually represents snakes as being, the deceiver, things of that nature. But in some other cultures, the snake is a wonderful symbol of healing. The first thing that comes to me is like a kundalini. That's usually referenced by a snake. So it just depends on what your frame of reference is. So there's aspects of that. But this card is a wonderful card when one is working on their spiritual nature. I always encourage people to examine their spiritual side when this card comes up. Pay attention to dreams. Especially dreams are a wonderful thing. And so it could be saying to you that when this card comes up, you're being encouraged to look at what your dreams are trying to tell you. This is a card to go with your intuition. If you tend to have a psychic bent or psychic nature, you're being encouraged to go along with any psychic impressions that you might get. In terms of more practical things, I always encourage people to start meditating if they haven't been meditating, or they don't have any kind of meditation practice, or they've fallen off the wagon. We leave these advices. Sometimes we don't meditate on a regular basis. So this card is a wonderful meditation card. If a person, since I work as a life coach, is trying to establish a goal or achieve something in their life, this is a wonderful visioning card. I always encourage a person to practice the art of creative visualization. And if you're not sure what that is, I encourage you to look that up online. But creative visualization is basically you sitting with yourself, kind of like meditation, and you're seeing what it is that you want to envision for your life. I always take people through an exercise where we envision what it is that they're trying to achieve, and we put them in a place in time, somewhere in the future, that they have already achieved it. And so I ask them, tell me what your life looks like as a result of having achieved that particular thing. It's no longer a concern. You've already done it. It's already been accomplished. So now what does your life look like as a result of having that? And that gets them in a state of mind of holding on to that picture, because now they have a mental image of what that looks like. And so now they know what it looks like. So now they know, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. I already have the picture in my mind of what it looks like once I've achieved this particular thing. So now what are the steps in between that I need to take in order to get there? And then take those one step at a time. Another more practical, creative, imaginative process a person can do is creating a vision board. And so I don't know if people know what a vision board is, but it's similar to the visioning process. You take a poster board, and all you basically do is you cut out images and words and phrases that kind of line up with what it is that you'd like to achieve. And then you put it in a place where you get to look at it every day. And it just is a reminder, a visual reminder of what your vision is and all the things that you have to do to get that vision done, to bring it into manifestation. So, so spiritual tools with this card. Again, pay attention to your dreams. Write them down. I'm a big believer in writing your dreams down. So if you don't have a habit of recording your dreams. I'm encouraging you to record your dreams. Meditation is a wonderful process. Find some way to start that if you haven't, and if you are a person who practices meditation on a regular basis, continue to do that. Also to ask yourself, what is the vision that I'm holding for my life now and in the future? And this way, create something that kind of honors that, pays tribute to that, and put it in a place where you get to see it regularly. Here I'm in my home office right now, and I have my vision board just on another wall adjacent to that. And I'm in the process of changing it because a lot of the things that I have on that board have already manifested themselves. And so the one last thing on there that really hasn't shown up yet is writing. And so I'm in the process of writing several things. But one of those is being a published author. So I'm in the process of doing that. And interestingly enough, since I'm talking about the Seven of Cups and the aspect of that is about dreams, it's a book on dream interpretation. So, I just love how things just continually, the things that I'm talking about just are kind of interweaving today. So, again, that's the Seven of Cups. Dreams, meditation, creative visualization. Okay? That's what I want to leave you with. If this has been meaningful to you, just do me the favor of liking it, sharing it, posting comments. And if you found that you want to work with me, either with your dreams or with Tarot in some shape, form, or fashion, I have been known to work with, students, just getting them to kind of work with Tarot and work with their dreams for themselves, and then, on some point, if they feel like they want to serve the world in a bigger way with that, then I can help them with that, and I've done that. But if you feel like that would be interesting to you, my contact information is on this page. Just send me an email, call me, let me know how I can be of service to you in helping you develop your own private dream practice and private Tarot study. Until next time, this is James Mitchell. Be blessed.